Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Crossover. Starring Josh Johnson and Chris McGill. Featuring Christina Thorson. And of course, you, the Instagram live chat. Now, sit back and enjoy this week's edition of The Crossover. Powered by Card Ladder.
Give us a little leash. It's our first time back, and I guess we took the last 2 weeks off, so all right, here we go. Let's bring them back. Probably better if you can't see me. What's the word?
Black.
Oh no. Do you want to host it and I'll come in? Maybe that'll fix it.
Nah, we can just roll with it.
Not with the black screen. Not with the black screen.
I saw what you're wearing. It's fine.
All right. Well. All right. Let's see how long it lasts. Where are you right now, by the way?
In my room. We got a puppy, and it's all make chaos around here.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. All right. Mail days?
No mail days. You?
No mail days, I don't think either, which is a little boring, a little disappointing after 2 weeks off.
We don't buy cards anymore, dude.
We don't. You should see my crypto portfolio, though.
Booming.
All right. So, welcome everybody to the crossover. Today is May 10th, Friday. We are back. And no mail days, any announcements? Do we have any card letter related announcements to make?
Yes. I have two. I don't remember if I showed both of them.
All right.
Let's see here. Let's see if I can turn this around. Why would I? When you're adding to your collection now, the graded cert gives you the option of PSA or SGC.
Nice.
So since the collector's acquisition of SGC, we've gotten some better integrations with SGC, and now you can punch in the cert of SGC directly, and you'll get the front back scans from SGC. You'll get all the details filled out, so it makes it a lot quicker. And then also, most people are more interested in this. It'll work for CSVs. So if you're uploading a bunch of cards at once with just certs, it will recognize whether it's PSA or SGC and do them together at the same time.
That's awesome. Spreadsheet lovers, go nuts.
Spreadsheet lovers. And this one will work on the mobile app as well, but not the CSV.
Okay.
And then, did we talk about Pristine last week? 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago?
Did we? Well, we can do a little reminder on that.
So if you go to sales history, there's now a drop down for Pristine auction.
Nice.
We were working with the Pristine team, got their data into sales history and also shop. So if you go to sales history, you can filter by Pristine auction, both in sales history and shop. They've got a lot of shorter auctions, so if you're active in the shop, cool stuff usually shows up there pretty frequently.
Awesome. All right. Let's get to the questions because there was a mountain of them. The first topic I actually have for us, Josh, I've got 4 different groups of topics. That's how organized we're going to be today.
Ooh.
And we're going to start with a fun one, Anthony Edwards. So let's go through a few questions here. First one from Jose, JGP45. He says, let's discuss flippers glazing every player who's performing well. That's what we're going to do, Jose. And then let me go to a second question here that we can get started on. Fourth Floor Cards says, let's talk about the narrative being pushed by sports media that Anthony Edwards is the next Jordan. So let's you got your box score at?
Is this bad?
No way. Whose is that? Oh, that like wipes out half of his plus minus from the whole playoffs.
I know. He's minus 32 tonight. So is Towns though.
Okay, so I actually have been doing a lot of thinking about this.
Oh, great.
And it,
that was my response. My first thought as well.
let me cook here a little bit. All right, I understand. At first, I was skeptical about the idea that Anthony Edwards is modeled in the mold of LeBron or Kobe or Michael Jordan or Wayne Gretzky or Tom Brady, all of which Bill Simmons compared him to in a recent podcast. Oh, Tiger Woods as well. But then I started digging into the numbers, and I noticed something really interesting. So Edwards has played 4 seasons. He's played 4 seasons so far, and he's averaging just under 23 points a game, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists. Okay, so basically 23, 5, and 4 are his career averages. I said, wow, that's pretty good. And then I went through Michael Jordan's basketball reference page, and would you believe this? I found an identical match. It was actually Michael Jordan's first year with the Wizards. He averaged 23, 6, and 5. So I see the comparison. Anthony Edwards in his 4th season is pretty much on par with Michael Jordan on the Washington Wizards in 2001. So just wanted to acknowledge the comparison.
Retirement Jordan.
And say I think there's a lot to be excited about here. What do you think, Josh? Are you excited about Michael Jordan 2.0?
Well, the funny thing about that comparison is that as a LeBron fan, I'm basically told that those years don't even exist for Michael Jordan. I'm supposed to them. They didn't happen. That was just not even real. So that's funny that gets brought up now to compare him to Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
Pretty good comparison. I mean, I don't know. I've thought about it too. This is just what happens, man. This is just what we do every year. It was Morant, and it was every year we've got to do this. We've got to make some guy the next big thing, and it never turns out well. It's weird. Why did we start the show tonight? Is you didn't want to finish the game, or it already over and at halftime, or what? How are we able to do this?
Yeah. I was a little worried about that, but no worries. We were able to start the show on time tonight. Here's the thing. With comparing any player to Michael Jordan as a player, if somebody wants to make a statistical comparison, and there was one made by Andy Bailey who points out that through the first 4 seasons, focusing only on playoffs, Edwards' box plus minus and all other relevant metrics are pretty close to what Michael Jordan's were through his first 4 playoff years. And that's a valid comparison. The statistics line up. It makes sense. There's nothing you can really say to that. So, when there's substance to back it up, I think it's great. I think it's exciting. It's good for the league. Another guy who has substance to back it up is Victor Wembanyama. When you look at the statistical production he had through this rookie season, the only player to ever exceed his marks in points, rebounds, assists, and blocks ever in a season was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar during an MVP season. That's how unusual the statistical production was that Wembanyama put up. So when the evidence is there, when the stats back it up, I'm ready to get excited about it. But I just get a little bored, a little turned off by the instant gratification society where the guy has to be it now.
Right.
That's where I'm at.
He's got to be him, like, immediately.
Yeah.
I'm pulling up. The only defense I'll give Edwards a little bit of defense, and that's just that he's only 22 years old.
Yep.
And if you want to do he's got to be great in the first 4 seasons, that works for LeBron and MJ and a few other guys. And you pointed out Wembanyama's looking like he's got the great stats already early on. But some other players have shown it takes a few years into the 23, 24, 25-year-old range. I'm thinking of Kobe, Giannis, Kawhi. Some guys take a little bit of extra time. So there's a chance, that he makes the leap. The problem is that we're like pre-leaping him. I just don't understand. Like we're just like assuming he's gonna be Kawhi Leonard and Giannis. Like how do we? There's flashes and he's exciting. He can dunk. It's great. It's just too early as always. We've done this. Like we did this with Trae Young and Zion. We did it with Ja Morant. It sucks for those guys because we gotta build them up super quick and way too early, and then we of course have to destroy them when they don't meet the insane expectations.
Yep, absolutely. That's really well said, and like I will reiterate too that like it's not even just this year in the playoffs. It was last year and it was the year before. He goes to an elite level in the playoffs. Now it's also a very small sample size. This is the first time he's ever played a seventh playoff game. He's never even made it to 7 before. So let's see what happens when the sample gets a little bit bigger. But and speaking of some of those other guys, Ja Morant beat him in the playoffs 2 years ago. He got gentlemen swept out of the first round in the playoffs last year. Now, team is a little bit better. He's a little bit better. Kawhi Leonard won his first Finals MVP in year 3. By year 4, Kevin Durant was in the conference finals. He won the scoring title, and he finished 5th in MVP voting.
Yeah.
We can just go on and on. I mean, there's even a guy like Kawhi who was on a great team, and his development was a little bit slower, obviously. Even then, by year 3, he was really polishing up his resume. So, all right, let's go on to a few more questions about Edwards. This one from Iowa Dave Sports Cards, who says, when I was a kid, my friend's dog ran away. And understandably, my friend was very scared. The dog was only gone a few hours when they found him, but I remember my friend joyously weeping when they did. I bring this up because my friend's reaction reminds me of how some in the hobby are reacting to Anthony Edwards' spike in card prices, as if 2021 has returned along with him. I mean, this isn't going to end well, is it? So, what do you say to that, Jeff?
Quite the comparison. I mean, yeah, I don't know how many times we have to do this this topic where it's like anytime you see these short-term spikes for anything, it always immediately goes back down. So it's like we can go over the Kobe Hall of Fame or the MJ doc, like we can do them all, but this one's gonna happen yet again. It's gonna happen to Wembanyama. It's gonna happen to everybody. It happened to every young player ever. I just like we keep this horse, I guess. Let me pull up his index real quick. His growth over the last 1 month is 56%.
Yeah,
and we track
that's an understatement too, Josh, because like
we track a lot of his cards.
we track a lot of his cards. A lot of them haven't sold yet to updates. I mean, a lot of his cards, when I'm seeing new sales of them come in, I'm seeing 3x, 3.5x, 4x of what it was selling for 2-3 months ago. Just his market is on fire. It is going nuts.
Right. My favorite thing right now is the story post that starts with, Anthony Edwards is Tim. He's the next MJ. The side-by-side picture where they look alike, the fadeaway jumper or whatever. And then the very next post is like, oh, by the way, I have this PWCC auction running of 3 of his cards. Get your bids in, guys. Make sure you buy the card that I'm selling of the player I just deemed the next Michael Jordan. If he's the next Michael Jordan, you should not be selling.
Right. And I get the appeal. Like, this is part of the thing, is that so much of the hobby's buying decisions and opinions are trickle down from what the media is saying. Some of us get our takes from the podcast circuit. Some of us get them from sports talk on TV. Some of us get them just from watching the games, listening to the halftime shows. And there's been a unanimous chorus of christening him as Kobe or MJ or LeBron or all the ones that Bill Simmons did. So, like, when there's that much unanimity and agreement, this is absolutely going to happen. And I can't blame anybody in the hobby for wanting to get in on the next Michael Jordan, the next LeBron, when they're in their fourth season. I can't blame anybody for wanting to do that, but this is where I think it can be dangerous sometimes, especially when you have just an onslaught of the same opinion over and over again. Like,
Right.
who's the dissenting opinion? Has anybody dissented on this topic in the media?
That the hype is too soon, or what? What do you mean?
Yeah, that it's just like, who's Anthony Edwards' hater out there? LeBron's got all his haters. Michael Jordan's got haters. Plenty of haters for every player out there. Who's the Anthony Edwards hater that I want to go to? I want to hear some.
Well, this is like, we're kind of in that like LeBron phase where it was like, oh, it's cute that he's like making the finals with this crappy team. He's not a real threat. And we're just sort of like enjoying this, but then we'll like build it up a couple more notches over the next few years. And then when he doesn't win, then we'll start tearing him down. It's the same cycle as that. I'm sure if MJ played in the current era with the Pistons, he got beat by the Pistons, and we'll tear him down after that. And all he does is score, and he can't win. And then I don't know. It's just the same old crap.
Right. Yeah. Well, if and when those haters do come out of the woodworks, maybe we'll be on the other side.
Dude, there's haters for Morant and Trae Young and Zion. Like, you just got to wait a couple years. It's coming.
There you go. All right. Love that question from Iowa David. Painted a picture. All right. From 90s B-ball cards, on a scale of 1 to Atomic Wedgie, how deep are you into the Ant-Man hype? And an Atomic Wedgie, that's cutting deep.
Oh, man. I pulled up year 4 stats of another player. Look at these stats. How's that look? Wait, can you see?
22 and a half, 6 and 5. Okay. With a nice plus minus, too.
What do you think this is? This is year 4.
38 minutes per game, so they're playing not from this era, probably. Is that Allen Iverson?
Close.
Kobe, okay.
So I think if you want to map it out, he could be Kobe. He just doesn't have Shaq. He has Karl Anthony Towns.
Fair, okay. Let's go. Ant is next. I could get most comfortable with that.
He reminds me of like Kobe, but way stronger.
Way stronger. So much stronger.
Did you hear Bill Simmons' pod where he's like playing out the scenario where the Nuggets get swept? It's like, does he know what a sweep means? You have to lose 4 in a row, not 2.
He said if Anthony Edwards sweeps the Nuggets, he becomes the king of the NBA.
And he's like, I can already see people coming after Jokic. Dude, it's the fucking second round and it's game 2. Chill out. They won by 30 tonight.
Yeah, it's great.
It's crazy.
That reminds me of this next question that comes in from Fan Tomas 4 Cards, which is, who is the next face of the NBA? And then he gives a couple names. Is it Luka? Is it Ant? Is it Wemby? Is it Jokic? Is it Shea? I'll say this to this question, and I'm taking this from a podcast. I don't remember who said it to properly give credit to it, but it was a really good line. And they basically said this: if you have to ask if somebody is the face of the NBA, they are definitely not.
Right.
And to Simmons' credit, when Simmons was talking about sort of the eras of the NBA, he says we're still sort of we're in the later phases of the Curry LeBron era, and I think that's really hard to disagree with. That those two are still the faces of the NBA, and they also just so happen to play for 2 of the absolute biggest and most lucrative markets.
Well, you could easily make this like an objective thing where the face of the NBA is the current Finals MVP. That's how I would do it, and that's how it's traditionally been done. Like, I wasn't a fan of like the let's just make Kawhi the guy, but he had the Finals MVP. He took down the Warriors. He won it with the Spurs. Like, there wasn't much to argue with that little window for Kawhi, and then it was like Giannis. So I mean, it's just like an objective, easy way to do it, in my opinion. The Finals MVP is just that's the way to do it.
Definitely. I'm not opposed to that method at all. That's a simple, objective, fair way to do it.
But this is again just like another media thing. This is like a Colin Cowherd take of like, I need it to be a specific guy who's on a dynasty or something who lives in LA and does all the interviews and I don't know what that means. The face of the league, the guy who gets the most TV games or something. It's just like a silly, subjective way for the media to make stuff up. Why do they have to? Why do they have? I don't know. I don't understand this. This is so weird.
It's a great question. Where this is leading me is, why do we need to have so many discussions about this concept of the face of the NBA? How about we just go back to the question of who's the best player? Who are the best players in the NBA? Can we just focus on that?
I mean, I don't see how it's any harder than that. There's all these games. These games are going to be played regardless. There's going to be games on TV. Just watch the fucking games and look at the stat. I don't understand.
All right, we got 2 more questions here on this topic. This one from Cali Dreamin' 84. Shout out to Joe. He says, weighing both the pros and the cons, what do you think the Anthony Edwards price spike in card values reveals about the state of collecting in 2024? How much is it a sign of a healthy market? How much is it a sign of an unhealthy market? Can it be a sign of both?
Yeah. I mean, this cycle is so common at this point, and it's going to happen again, and it just keeps happening that I can't even call it like a bad toxic thing anymore. It just is. We're just going to keep having it. It's just going to keep happening. The hobby will move on. His prices will go down. The money will go back to MJ and LeBron and everybody else, and we'll just keep doing this over and over.
Right. Well said.
What do you think?
No,
what do you think? You think it's bad for the hobby?
So if I wanted to give it a positive spin, I would say something to the effect of hope springs eternal.
Yeah.
People in the hobby are able to still get excited and passionate and carried away with their enthusiasm for the possibility of a very good player becoming an all-time great. And that translates into market activity. And is that healthy? Maybe not to the extent that we continue to do it to ourselves. because it always happens, even on tiny scales. Even when the first PSA 10 copies of the big rookie card comes out, we're just doing the same thing but on a smaller scale there.
Right.
So that's the positive. The negative spin, obviously, is that there's real financial risk here. There's real financial risk of buying into a really hyped up market that needs a lot of things to go right, and maybe they will go right. They could go right. Sometimes they do go right, but a lot of the times they don't pan out exactly how we want them to.
What do you think about the theory that the people that are jumping into the hype and they're losing money on this, and Edwards or whoever's hype? What do you think about the theory that those people were just going to lose that money in some other gambling market or crypto scheme, anyways? And this is just sort of evolution taking effect and survival of the fittest, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it's a fun theory, and then it makes me think, well, who is it who's capturing these gains, and what are they going to do with it? So the people who are selling these cards, as opposed to the buyers, how are they, spending this newfound money? That's interests me as well. That's something that we can't see, but
yeah, it's probably Corvettes.
New house, maybe. Final question here from the Bouvier. Who is the largest quote-unquote bubble player of the playoffs? And then he gives 3 options. And I'm not sure that I totally agree with all 3. But he gives Jalen Brunson, Anthony Edwards, or Donovan Mitchell.
Bubble as in their card prices are too high?
That's how I took it.
Yeah. Let me pull up Mitchell. Is that the one you don't agree with?
Yeah. I was like, why? I haven't seen a lot of hype anywhere for Donovan Mitchell, even though I think he's been pretty good in this playoff run.
He's down. Mitchell's taken strays. He's down 15% over the last 3 months, and a lot of that was a couple really big down sales in late April. So, yeah, I mean, he's probably already pretty dang low. I mean, Mitchell's another guy where it's he's a really good player. He's going to be what? I don't know if he's going to win a All-NBA team because of games played, but I think he probably would have been second or third team this year. He's a fantastic player, top 15 in the league. and his card values just continue to go down. So like, and Edwards is not even as good as Mitchell right now. I think you would agree with that. Statistically, he's not even close.
Correct.
So he's going to have to blow past Mitchell, sustain it, and keep, it's a lot of steps.
It is a lot. So let me just conclude with this, and then we'll move on. I'm just going to go really quickly through a bunch of young players who had a really hyped up moment over the last 5 years, just to kind of put some perspective on this. So in the 2020 playoffs, Donovan Mitchell had a 57.9 rebound, 7 assists game. In the 2020 playoffs, Jamal Murray had a 50-point, 11 rebound, 7 assists game. In the 2020 playoffs, Luka had a 46-point, 17 rebound, 13 assist game. In the 2021 playoffs, Jason Tatum had a 50-point, 6 rebound, 7 assist game. In the 2021 playoffs, Trae Young had a 48.7 rebound, 11 assist game in the conference finals, no less. Also in 2021, Devin Booker had a 47-point, 11 rebound, 3 assist game. In 2022, John Morant had a 47-point, 8 rebound, 8 assist game. In 2022, Jalen Brunson had a 41-point, 8 rebound, 5 assist game. Then this year, Tyrese Maxey had a 46.5 rebound, 9 assist game. Paolo Banchero had a 39-point, 8 rebound, 4 assist game. And Anthony Edwards, his best game so far in these playoffs was 43 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. So we've seen this. We've seen guys have really special, incredible moments in the playoffs. And Tyrese Halliburton almost had one tonight. He had something like 35 points and half a dozen rebounds and assists. So he's almost putting his name onto this list too. So just some context there, Josh. We've seen these guys, these young guys, and all those players who I listed, by the way, they were somewhere between age 25 and younger, age 21 and age 20.
Right.
All right.
When you read that, it kind of makes me think of the theory that we're moving into this era of parity in the NBA. Just like, I don't know that you could go back and find an era and rattle off like, what was it, like 10 names you just said of like these unbelievably huge statistical games. I mean, obviously a lot of that's like the way the game is played today. There's more points, et cetera, but like these are still big outlier games relative to their averages, and they're all young players and they're all like these upcoming guys. And our last 5 NBA champions are unique. We haven't had a repeat since 2018. It's possible that we just kind of get like, I mean, even if the Nuggets win this series, they're going to have to go through Luka, Shea, and Tatum and the Celtics. Like, it's going to be tough for them to repeat this year, and if they do, it'll be good. It'll be amazing. But like, if the Nuggets don't rattle off 3 straight, and we've got more of this parity of like maybe Luka wins one, maybe the Celtics grab one, maybe we're in this era where we don't have like these 4-time, 5-time MVP, Finals MVP guys, and we just have a bunch of really good players all playing at the same time. And does that hurt everyone's card value? Does it just make it different? I don't know. It's interesting to think about.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think we've also we've sort of been in that era without sort of totally realizing it, just because there hasn't been a repeat champion since the Kevin Durant Warriors. Right. So. And football is a good example. There's so many talented quarterbacks in the league right now, and I guess you have Mahomes just sort of standing well above the rest with 2 MVPs and 3 Super Bowl MVPs. But in football, you sort of have this scenario too, where you have a lot of really good quarterbacks. A lot of them are in the AFC, and only one of them can win every year.
Yeah,
and you start to get a little bit anxious when it's year 6, year 7, year 8, and the guy's got 1 All-Pro and maybe a few Pro Bowls, maybe made the playoffs, missed it. It's like where does this end?
But we're like pricing these guys like they're all going to win 4 NBA championships. It's just not. There's just not enough years to do that. It's impossible. Like Giannis has 1, Jokic has 1. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, and everybody else has 0.
Yep, exactly. All right, let's move on to this next topic, memory lane. So Perimeter Collectible says, what was memory lane thinking? Are you familiar with this topic, Josh? All right, so let me give a
I've got
quick
this.
overview.
I've got this good look. Help me out.
Sorry, can you say that again?
I said I've got this stupid look on my face. Help me out. I don't know what this is.
Okay, all right, here we go. Here is what I'm talking about. This is an article from Sports Collectors Daily. Headline: $2 million in baseball cards believed to be stolen from a hotel in Iowa. And I'll go through this article quickly because there's a few details in here that we need to cover. There was a shipment of more than 2 million baseball cards intended for display at the Strongville Sports Collectors Convention has gone missing. 54 high-value cards, including numerous rare and post-war issues, have been stolen after a box arrived at the Best Western Plus Hotel the day before the show was supposed to open. The hotel is next to the arena. Memory Lane shipped the package from its Southern California headquarters via FedEx during the week of April 14th. The police report says officers were called to the scene just after 4 p.m. on April 18th. According to the company, security cameras read by police show the heavy-duty brown cardboard box being delivered inside for. However, a Memory Lane employee who arrived in advance could not locate the box, along with hotel employees. The cards were to be displayed at the company's booth at the show, which ran from April 19th to the 21st. They were part of Memory Lane's latest auction. So we have a question on this. These cards were already in an auction, which closed early Sunday. If it's impractical to drive to a remote location for a show, dealers often ship items in advance. Some of the cards are extremely rare. The cards remained in the auction. Okay, so here we go. The cards were allowed to continue running at auction in hopes that police could recover them prior to last weekend's close. But as of Monday night, they were still missing. And company officials spent Monday informing the buyers of what happened. And then here's the important part for them, or for the consigners rather, all of the items were fully insured. So the consigners will receive their proceeds from Memory Lane. In all, the auction generated a total of $8 million. So some of the missing cards are a W600 Sporting Life Christy Mathewson cabinet card with a rare Type 3 mount. I have no idea what that means. Sold for $158,000. So there we go. So those are the facts of the story, Josh. And so Perimeter Collectible says, what in the world was Memory Lane thinking? And then I'll just go to the one other question we have too, and then we can talk about it a little bit. In Cardboard Veritas says, which was the worst decision by Memory Lane? Shipping $2 million worth of cards to a Best Western, or running a sham auction for 2 weeks? And I call it that because it seems like they knew the cards were missing or stolen, but they still did not suspend the auction.
My question was Christina's question. She said, is that why they let the auction run, to know the insurance? That's kind of what I was thinking as well.
Right. Oh, a Best Western Plus, sorry. Okay, yeah, so good question. Here's the issue with that, which is an understandable theory. The issue with that is you're wasting all the bidders' time.
Yeah.
You're just engaging them in a very elaborate attempt to figure out the market value for something for insurance purposes, which is unfortunate. You know, I mean, I could totally understand a bidder being like, man, I was bidding on an item that was stolen this whole time. So
plus, like, if you actually engage them in that, a bunch of the people who would have bid are going to be like, these cards aren't even available. Why would I bid? So it would actually lower the price and screw up the insurance value. It's like I would actually just prefer to go off past comps or, cards or something.
Yeah. In fairness to Memory Lane, obviously, they got the raw end of a deal here. Stuff does get stolen, and like the article does point out, it's not unusual for items to be sent in advance to card shows for display. And I don't want to be. I don't want to judge too much. I don't want to judge Memory Lane too harshly here, just because, God, that's just an unwinnable situation that you're in. It's but maybe there were a few decisions, a few mistakes that they would like to have back. Does this impact anything? Like, does this take shipping stuff to a show off the table? And like, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in your camp of like, I mean, it's really easy for us to criticize after the fact, like, oh, you shouldn't have shipped it. Well, yeah, if I knew it was going to get stolen, I wouldn't have freaking shipped it, of course. But we see cards at these shows all the time behind these glass cases and stuff. It's very common. We maybe like assume they're driven in armored trucks across the country, but sometimes they're shipped. I guess, man, I don't know. Like, I don't know that this changes much. Like, some people are still gonna, you know, I don't want to say take the gamble, but so the insurance is who's the insurance with? Are we saying Memory Lane has insured the cards?
Presumably that's who had the insurance, yeah.
So the insurance company is going to pay Memory Lane, who's going to pay the consigner? Yeah. That sucks, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, it does suck.
These cards are going to show up, though. Like, whoever stole this stuff has to sell it. You're not going to sell it at a pawn shop.
Yeah, no, you're right. This stuff probably will show up at some point, and then it'll be returned to the rightful owners.
Yeah, then the insurance company will go after the cards.
Right.
And insurance companies have the best lawyers.
Yep.
So like they'll get the cards and then they'll run an auction to recoup their losses.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dave says he'll be there. I know you will, buddy.
I was thinking, like if there was a scenario where you found like a duffel bag of cash and you could just like not report it and spend that cash your whole life. If you found a box of these like really expensive baseball cards, are you like exchanging a baseball card for a house just so that you never have to send it to auction and get caught? Like you're just like finding a way to spend these cards other ways. Like, oh, I just traded this card for a car.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I would never want. I don't find that there's a ton of promotional value. I think it's really cool and it's great for the brand of the auction house to like be able to display cards. But if it was my card on consignment, I would never want that card to be traveling anywhere. My personal opinion.
Do you think that they have to get consent for that?
I'm sure it's in their terms and conditions.
Right.
Yeah, I would not love that. I would not love that at all. And not just from like the risk of it being stolen factor, but also just like it sits out in the light all day when it's on. It's just all of it.
We had an episode recently where we were angry at cards from one vault moving to another vault, and that's like nothing compared to this.
Right, exactly. Now, if it's like a pair of sweaty, disgusting shoes, go for it.
We just work that into the show, we find.
All right. Very important situation. I really hope those cards get found, and I just I'll probably be sure to make a little note if I ever send a high value item to auction that says keep this thing in the office locked down.
Do you ever get excited at the National when you see some of those cards on display? There's a few cards I've seen in display where I'm like, that's really cool. But I don't think it like makes me think, dang, I should sell my whole collection with this company.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way for me either. I do enjoy being able to see a really cool card, whether it's from an auction house, from a dealer showcase, or just a collector walking around with it. I do love to be able to see a cool card. So, all right, let's move on now to the third of the 4 segments. This one is going to be on Fanatics and Topps.
All right.
Lots of different questions on some different topics here. So the first one from Splendid Sports says, is it me or does it seem like the only people in the hobby excited about unlicensed Topps Chrome basketball cards are the breakers and the card shop owners? Card collectors do not want unlicensed cards when they have a licensed option as well. Shouldn't Fanatics just wait their turn instead of jumping the gun?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that? Do you feel strongly about it one way or the other?
They're gonna do it just because like they're not just gonna sit on their hands and not make money, so we should expect it. I really like the phrasing of the first part of the question where it's like, who was excited about this. The people who are benefiting and profiting off that first tier of, or that first opportunity to make money from it, the breakers and the shops to sell the wax, and then after that, did you see the story post by Mind Cycle Cards today? He kind of summed it up nicely, in my opinion. He kind of said something to the effect of, like, it's interesting now, and we get all these fun releases, and you've got all these cards coming out, and people get excited, but like 5 years from now, nobody's going to care because the collectors are not the ones going after these cards. It's just like this initial flood of cash and breakers and gambling. But long term, like, no one's going to care about any of this stuff. And so, it's good. It's probably smart to like look ahead to that a bit. And like if you are a collector, to try to not get swept up in it.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
I don't, if I wanted to say something positive about the unlicensed basketball cards that are coming down the pike now, it would be this. Fanatics and Topps are having a runway right now to try things, to experiment, to learn about manufacturing basketball cards, to get acquainted with the players, with the way that they want to write the captions on the backside, everything. So there's something positive I can say about it. But I have a lot of reservations about it. And the biggest one for me, and this is just me, I don't expect or need or want everybody to feel the same way as me as a collector on this. But for me as a collector, I'm always looking for ways to narrow in what matters to me and what should matter to me and what has significance. And that is really important for me to do that because there is just so many options available for player collecting, for team collecting, for set collecting. And one of the earliest and most obvious ways that I narrow in the cards that I want to focus on is they have to be fully licensed, especially in the context of a fully licensed option is available. There are exceptions when we do have plenty of rookie cards that are not fully licensed, but there's often that many of them come from an environment where nothing was fully licensed. Fully licensing wasn't even something that was being implemented at that time in card manufacturing. So I understand that's a different situation and I get it. But in this era, when there's 30 different fully licensed products, makes it really easy for me to narrow the scope of what I want to collect by saying, well, one of my focuses is going to be I'm going to stick to fully licensed stuff. Some of the other ones that other collectors have are they stick to playing years. Sometimes people just focus strictly on rookie year. So to me, that's sort of the point too here is that it's scary if there's a hype storm and people talk themselves into or others into believing that this time is going to be different. Maybe it will be different, but more than likely it won't be. And as time passes, I think one of the first things that I'll be one of the first boxes that I check is it fully licensed. So, do you have anything you want to add on top of that?
No, I think from the perspective of you and I in this show, like we just are going to continue to try to, educate on the side of the collector, and like people listening to the show we know are mostly collectors, are like eager to learn and educate themselves and move forward with building their collection. So like we just sort of naturally are going to take the side of like, if it were us and we're collectors in your shoes, like you're probably best served to like ignore a lot of this noise of some of these releases, and just if you are sort of excited about the Fanatics or the Wembanyama thing, it's probably best to wait. The frustrating part though is like if I'm a Wembanyama collector and I am only focused on his rookie year stuff, and I really would like to have an autographed rookie card in my collection. It's it sucks. I don't have a choice. So I can always empathize with all levels of collectors and people trying to build out their specific collections that they've honed in on, like we have been preaching, where they're just sort of stuck with some of this stuff. So that's probably where the line of us getting frustrated with Fanatics jumping the gun is like, probably should have let Panini just like let him have the rookie autographs for this year and then jump in and test test stuff with others. But I get the competition side of it. dealing with companies that need to make money. They need to prove to shareholders that they're generating increases in revenue. So like we can't really expect them to not do this stuff,
Yeah, it's a fair point. And for people who love the Panini brands, this certainly seems to open the door to the possibility of these companies trading positions at some points. And when the licenses eventually go over to Fanatics and Topps, maybe Panini will aggressively pursue making unlicensed cards or partially licensed cards with players associations who might be amenable to that, or going after retired players, make a retired player set. So I think it would be. It certainly seems to open the door to there's going to be a lot of unlicensed cards, and Panini's been doing that with baseball for years now. So
yeah. The point that Mind Cycle made in his story was like we could just look back to like 90s basketball or early 2000s and look at like what cards have stood up long term from that era, and it's a very small finite number of cards, and that's going to happen with Panini. That's going to happen with Fanatics. So you could rush to just buy all this stuff, or you could look back at the 90s and be like, well, what ended up actually sticking? And it's like MJ serial numbered, super rare. It's like it's a small percentage of the totality. So like let's just apply that forward and figure out it's probably just going to be the super top players and their rookie cards and et cetera.
Absolutely. All right. Let me go to this next question here. This is from Wookie Hunter, who says, "Who is better, the unlicensed Topps fanboys or the Leaf simps?" And like, I think like the thing that's really annoying some people is they just don't. This is a common refrain on this show. People in the hobby, people in general, don't like feeling like they're being tricked into something.
Right.
They don't like a lack of authenticity. And I can't help but understand how they feel when it's like, it just feels like some people are just promoting and hyping up anything without a standard, without regard for the interests of their customers. So,
yeah. And then the other side of it, Chris, is that they always jump to the next thing and leave a trail of dust and never go back to that thing they pushed 3 years ago. That's what always pisses me off.
Yeah.
Like you could say what you want about us, but like we stick to what we've stuck with for all these years. Like we continue to push the same stuff. We continue to fight for the same cards that were made decades ago. It's like we just keep circling back to the same stuff. We haven't moved on to some new thing. There's no rug pull.
Right. Well, and that's what this question narrows in on. Is it's like, if you guys weren't promoting Leaf, why are you doing it now for Topps?
Because of Fanatics deals coming.
Exactly. All right. And like people just don't like that. There's a real sense that there's something not completely authentic about that. And I think they probably have a point.
Is this like an influencer push on the Topps that I'm missing, or is this just like is there a specific thing?
Well, I just think that, and it's understandable why. I'm not sure about the influencers. I've purged much of the influence. Actually, many influencers have purged themselves from my timeline just by exiting the hobby or moving on to other things. But
right.
I don't know. I don't know about influencers, but I do know, and it does make sense. If we can give a fair shake to the other side, breakers, card shops, they make money by selling products, and they need to have good relationships with Fanatics and Topps going forward. And so they're going to do things that are in their financial interest. And maybe there's a better way to thread that needle. Maybe there's a better form of messaging where they can do this without leaving the impression on a lot of people that it's a little bit salesman-y.
So there's this like undertone from specific influencers where like you're supposed to be positive about everything in the hobby, and that's what grows the hobby. Is that am I getting close? Yeah. And which is total crap. which is ridiculous. Like that's just to your point. That's disingenuous and it's fake. Like we know you don't think all this stuff is great. You're just saying it to like push your own crap or try to like rise the tide of the whole hobby or whatever you're trying to do. But like we all know that's not going to work long term, and you're just going to burn a bunch of people and piss them off. So
Exactly.
you can send me the clip, but I ain't watching that shit.
Okay. Let's do a few more here. Andrew Kesey says, please discuss the 2024 Bowman 55 anime cards. And he says that maybe compare them to Panini's manga. So 2024 Bowman anime cards. And I have here one of the Acuñas from the set. You're not going to be able to see it on your screen.
I'm searching it myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you just search 2024 Bowman 55 anime,
Cool.
you'll be taken to some.
Yep.
So so I'm showing it on my screen. Josh looking at it too. This. I'm looking at the Acuna. I can't. Is this card shiny? It does look like it has foil. It does. Okay. So good. That was going to be a concern of mine. Is this shiny? I like shiny. What do you think about these?
So this is the true Mickey Mantle rookie. Am I going to get in trouble for saying that?
No, this is you will get in trouble for that. This is 55 Bowman. So the 50 you have the 51 Bowman, the 52 Topps. Those are the two man.
5. Okay, I'm a vintage baseball idiot, so I already screwed up. These are cool looking. Am I just reacting to how they look? Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. Some think that they took some inspiration maybe from Panini's manga inserts. I think it can be found in Prism maybe, but there's a lot of inspiration taken in the creation of art in general.
I know less than nothing about anime, so you're just saying words.
Yeah, I don't really know that much either. Cool looking cards. Happy to give a pat on the back when there's a good design made.
So it's kind of like the cartoonish design of like the Kaboom, maybe.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. They don't seem ridiculously expensive either.
Nice.
All right. Next question here from Geppetto Cards. Do 10-year redemptions matter if they are never even filled in the first place? So this is a reaction to news out of the Topps conference that Topps will be honoring redemptions for up to 10 years when usually there's maybe a 2-year window before they expire. And the question is getting at the idea of I don't want it to take 10 years.
Yeah. It's almost like is that you think it's good news, but this news kind of sucks. It makes me think you're going to go to take 10 years.
Right.
No, to me, this is a move to have breakers excited,
right,
so they can hold products to sell for higher prices in the future and not worry about the hits being
interesting.
The redemption hits being voided due to the expiration date.
Yeah, it's a great point, especially when when the way the redemptions work, at least in my experience with Panini, if the redemption isn't ready when I go to redeem it, I can get a substitute. I can take a substitute card. So I'm not sure if that's how it works for Topps, but to me, I would think since we have a system of substitution, why should a redemption ever expire? I guess obviously you need to sort of contain the legal future obligations, but and it's easy for me to say it's just a guy on a screen, but wouldn't it be nice if just the redemption just didn't expire?
Especially if Topps and Fanatics have the confidence in themselves to not go out of business before 10 years.
Yeah, and I believe, I'm not sure if it was reported or if it's rumor, but I think those licenses are 20 years.
Ooh, yeah, makes sense.
All right.
Okay, can I just also, it seems like in the chat, some people might be confused. The redemption expiration date is not 10 years so that it takes the athlete 10 years to get it. The timeline for the expiration is for the company to have a legal obligation cut off at a certain point to owe you something.
Right. Yeah, I kind of misspoke when I first talked about it. That's a good clarification. All right. Moving on here, 2 more questions on Fanatics and Topps. From Jeff Rose, Jordans, and more. I miss the days of Fleer, Skybox, and Upper Deck basketball cards. Is there any scenario other than Fanatics acquiring Upper Deck where we can get licensed cards from those brands again? I don't know. This is a businessy question that I'm not quite sure what licensing requirements would need to be fulfilled to make that happen. Maybe a different related question, Josh, that we can talk about for a second is, do you want Fleer, Skybox, and Upper Deck basketball to come back?
Mm-hmm. This is kind of like the question, do I want LeBron signing again? Right. Selfishly, no, but like for the joy of future collectors and like my kids, it would be cool to have those companies, I guess, producing. But I think you'd have to have, since Fanatics has the exclusive license, they would have to like buy the naming rights of some of that stuff, right? They'd have to like buy the IP.
Yep.
Or they get sub-license.
Right.
Yeah, I do think there are possibly business ways to do that, but I just wouldn't want to get wildly speculative about what those are, to be honest with you.
And you've sort of implied earlier that, like, which is probably accurate, that Panini and some of these other companies like aren't really wanting to play nice with like, yeah, sure, you can use our brands and profit off our name. Like they're going to be like, screw you, we're going to make unlicensed the second you take over, just like you did to us.
Right. There's definitely a long history of that, and of signing exclusives to players, and definitely a lot of that. I like clean ends to eras.
Yep.
So I'll be fine with Panini brands reaching an end. They'll probably still use those brands to make unlicensed cards, but I'll be glad to see that era have a 15, 16-year window, and same thing applies, in my opinion, for the legendary 90s brands.
Yeah.
I think they had a great run. They made some great cards, and but let's make some new brands and some new ideas and some new concepts. Just my point. Okay. Final question from TJ is online. I think unlicensed Topps Chrome basketball missed the boat. 2024 is the 55th anniversary of the 1969-70 Tall Boys set. It's like Topps isn't even familiar with its own history anymore. An homage set could have worked well if they would have photographed players in a similar manner to that 1969 set. For example, players wearing backwards jerseys, wearing warm-up jackets, holding the basketball to block out the logos, since that set was also unlicensed. So there's an idea. I don't know if we have too many reactions to that idea, but it was an interesting concept for sure. All right. Let's move on to what I call the rest. These are just the general interest questions. First, from Stacking Gems. After a few years, it seems that the card market is back to its 2019 levels as collectors, but prices are still way too high due to bag holding. Do you agree?
Man, it's a tough question to answer. We don't really have enough to go off of for that, but let's see. It's like 2019, the CL50 was like 5,500, and today it sits at 13,000. So like, yeah, we're still at like 2.5x 2019, just kind of in generic terms.
Yep, we are, but I challenge the assumption that people make, which is a reasonable assumption. I challenge the assumption that 2019 is the right baseline. From where I was sitting during 2019, I was thrilled at the prices I was able to buy cards for. And I think that it's obviously a lot more painful, it pinches the wallet a lot more to buy cards now today. But I understand the price points. I understand that things sometimes need a catalyst to sort of push them to a higher limit, but I don't think that cards are breaking budgets right now for collectors. I just think so in other words, I guess what I'm trying to say is like it's plausible that the price of cards in 2019 was way lower than what collectors like myself would have been willing to pay if the market conditions would have forced us to pay more. And I think we're way close. Maybe we're still too high now, but we're a lot closer to where I'm willing to go to be able to buy a card. We're a lot closer today, in my opinion, to what I think from my own budgetary point of view for how much I enjoy and value owning the card. It's more accurate today. Maybe there's still room to go down. Maybe most other people are more in line with what stuff cost in 2019, but I feel like, I felt like I was getting really good deals for what I value cards in 2019.
Do you think the market has become more optimized today than it was in 2019? More places to find the cards, more accessibility to get them?
Yes, and also more accessibility to figure out what cards have sold for historically, and to discipline myself as a buyer based on historical trajectories.
Right.
So yeah, I think. Where are you going with that? Like the optimization point?
Well, I just like you said that you would have paid more in 2019, but you didn't have to. But now you're closer to having to pay that. What's the difference? Is it because like what changed in the markets to force that?
Yeah, it was kind of like it's like a relative thing. It's like every time I go down this direction, I just sound deranged and like a crazy person. But if like a brand new Toyota Corolla is 30 grand, or I can go buy a used Civic for 15, and I can use that extra 15 to get a card that is going to really mean something to my collection, enhance my collection, so on and so forth, or multiple cards, or buy into breaks, or whatever you want to do with that money. Like the excess money that I'm able to save by downgrading certain aspects of my life so that I can collect cards, there was always a big gap there.
Mm.
And now the card price has gone up. It puts more pressure on the opportunity cost of the money. So, if I'm confronted with the question of do I want to have a really nice car or do I want to have a serviceable used car and be able to build a nicer collection, I'm going the collection route always. And it just like the level of pressure that the price of cards is putting on my budget now is more accurate than the pressure that it was putting on in 2019.
Right. Did you want to speak on the bag holding aspect of the question?
Oh, yeah. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably still a lot of leftover of that going on. A lot of people still holding on to the last few years and just hoping either it returns, or the other one that I've talked about a lot on the show is there's a bunch of people that came in and, a percentage of them, probably a large percentage, ended up not doing great and having to eat some of those losses and take the reality pill. But I think a lot of those people had so much fun coming in and like found this thing that they're just like looking for ways to stick with it because they enjoy the sports connection aspect or the cards themselves or the community aspect or whatever it is. And that, I just think of the bag holding. I think of that. Like they're not necessarily like forcefully holding on to these cards, but they're holding on to sort of like the memory and the fun they're having through sticking with it.
Yeah, that's a cool point. I do wonder about this because we saw a ton of selling in 2021, 2022, a little bit less in 2023, and now way less in 2024. And I'm not sure if that's because people are holding bags or if that's because all the bags got sold off. And, now you have a new crop of people who are going to try and see what this market means and where it can bring them. And, bag holding also is, it teeters into, like, what's the difference between a bag holder and a collector? Is a bag holder the person who only purchased it because they wanted to make money, then they lost money, so now they're just holding this bag and trying to figure out when to get out of it?
Right.
And then a collector is someone who buys the card because of its significance and what it means to their collection. If it goes down in value, that sucks, as we've all probably experienced on some level if we bought cards in 2021 or 2022. But you still love the card. And if you sell the card, it's usually either because you absolutely have to for some other need in life, or because you're trying to upgrade the card or get to a different card.
Right.
So, and if there are still bag holders out there who just were purely financial focused and the card's a financial instrument, an item that has taken a big loss is a financial tool for tax purposes, for offsetting other income streams, specifically other investment income streams, or selling a house or something like that. So there may be some people who are strategically harvesting the losses they've taken in cards as well. And that could be part of the reason why they haven't sold and realized the loss yet. It's just because it hasn't been a good tax year to realize that loss. That may be a factor too.
I bought this card. Well, here's an example for you. Play out your fantasies. I bought this card during the peak. Like, I paid a lot for this card. It's worth probably less than half of what I paid for it. Am I bag holding it, or like I haven't thought to sell it because it's just like it's not that I'm worried about taking a loss. It's just in my collection. It's just a rare card that like I don't need two of, and I have one. So like, do I have to make a move? Like, there's just no move to be made. I already own it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's just card in my collection.
Right. Exactly right. That's why it's just kind of like, I'm holding a lot of bags, but I love those bags.
I don't know what you want me to do with this. Do I have to? It's just like all the content is centered around like, oh, when are you going to time the market? When are you going to cut your losses, or when are you going to tax harvest? Or it's like, I haven't thought about any of those things. It's like my second best card in my collection. I'm just going to have it.
Exactly. All right. Next question here from Perimeter Collectibles. What is the fair reaction when somebody guilts you into selling them a card for their personal collection, only to auction it a month later in the name of consolidation?
In the name of consolidation? That's a key part of the question, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah. So like that, this is a specific example where like they're doing this to, because you can picture the scenario. A guy in the DMs like, oh my God, this is my dream card. I've been looking for it for years. Can you finally sell me this card, please? This will always be in my collection. And then a month later, I actually found out, I can sell this to get a card that I want even more. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I've done this. I've had someone angry at me. I bought something. I thought it was going to be a long-term stay, and then something else came up, and I had to sell. Like, this has happened. I've done it to someone else. I guess that's, but it was in the name of like consolidation, and I thought, they won't be mad. I'm upgrading, but they were mad at me, and that's the way it went. But I guess it's tough. The line, like, it's for consolidation. I can kind of see like, well, they're upgrading, so what do you want them to do? They can't grow money on trees in their backyard. They need the money from that one to get the next one.
Someone in the chat says a big shout out to Perimeter Collectibles for the assist. So we have the buyer in the chat. I'm sure it's a joke, but it's good. Gunther Cards replied and said, well, first you begin by publicly naming the person, then we shame them, and then the proper term is certified wiener. No, I think you're exactly right. It can happen, but I guess if there's any path to reducing these situations or lessening their severity, it's on the buyer to not get too carried away with convincing the seller of how important the card is to them. And I'm sure, and I know you're not the type of guy who would do that.
No, it's just like in terms of like I keep raising my offer because I just really want it, and that's my own way of convincing them and me that it's valuable to me. Like I just want it. So here's the price. They say no, I raise the price. I raise the offer. Whatever. It's not like I'm convincing them that I'm some collector that's better than everybody else or something to that effect.
Yep. All right. From Tiger Jordan 311. As a collector, do you find it harder to sell when prices are going up or when prices are going down? In both scenarios, there can be fear of missing out, either in maximizing the potential upside or in minimizing the potential downside. So which one pains you more? Selling when prices are rising or selling when prices are falling?
Probably falling. I don't know. Did you ever sell that MJ Legacy?
Yeah.
Yeah, did that pain you? I feel like that one really like pissed you off.
Well, that one it did piss me off, and it pained me, and I sold it. I didn't even sell it when prices were falling. I sold it when prices bottomed out.
Nice job.
Yeah, it's probably worth a little bit more today, honestly, than it is for the deal that I made for it. I definitely think selling in the falling environment. I don't know. I just don't really. When card prices so I sold my own share of cards last year, and I sold that Legacy Jordan, and I also sold a bunch of Christian McCaffrey cards. And I sold McCaffrey cards at major losses, but it was in an environment where his prices were rising. I was getting better value than I would have if I tried a few weeks before, because he had like this 4 touchdown week against your Cardinals, and that was just like a big week for his cards. And yeah, it feels a lot better when you're selling into a rising market. It feels a lot better. Selling into a falling market there's no, like, what am I going to do? I'm going to sit there and be mad that like some other guy gets a little bit more money than I got for the card? Or I'm going to just sit there and be happy that like, if I'm selling in the falling environment, I'm be happy like, oh man, I sold before this idiot sold. I'm not deriving a pleasure from that.
This is just like a simple, like, you and I are both still humans and we enjoy the thrill of selling when things are going up and we're mad when it's losing money.
Exactly. Yeah. Interesting thought experiment nonetheless.
We're not like collection purist robots. We still we still enjoy the
Yeah, I definitely get like my satisfaction of selling a card at a decent timing is not lessened because I didn't sell at the absolute peak.
Right.
All right. From Drake's PC. For most people, eras of cards such as vintage, modern, and ultra modern are clearly defined. But when it comes to holding cards, I see vast differences among collectors when it comes to defining short-term and long-term holds. So, what should be the hobby standard for what a long-term hold is?
I saw this question and I thought, man, Drake is trying to really get us in trouble.
Drake always wants these weapons to use. He wants the definition of the long-term hold.
Yeah.
So he can beat somebody over the head with it, maybe.
Well, did you share crossover? They said 6 months, and that's the line. You've had this for 6 months in one day. Yeah, I don't know that it's like a line that simple, long term. It's more about like the intent, I think, is my answer.
Yeah. Yep.
Like I'm telling someone long term, this is my argument to convince someone to sell or whatever the case is, and then it's like a month later you're selling. It's like, I mean, it's not a month. Clearly, like your intent was always to kind of move this and make money off of me or whatever, so that's fine.
Yeah, I just have a hard time, dude. For some, there are people who collect vintage and pre-war who have owned cards for 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
You know, any of my holds are a fraction of that.
Right.
So it's just it's really tough to have a one-size-fits-all solution to this.
It's like it's a long-term hold if the person you got it from forgot that you have it.
Yeah.
If you sold it, they're like, oh wow, forgot they even had that thing. I sold that to them so long ago. I forgot about it.
Yep. Exactly. So I don't want to put a number on this. Do you?
Of course not.
Let's move on. Kudos to Drake for
nice try.
Yep.
Nice try.
He's always coming from a different angle. All right. JC2 Collects says, following up on in-person autographs for players with rare autographs, does it matter if it's an older autograph? So, for example, if the card was autographed and slabbed in the rookie year, as opposed to slabbed in the 20th year or in retirement, or with an older, or is it more valuable as well if there's an older version of the autograph, such as Mahomes' rookie autographs are much more nicer and more complete than his more recent autographs?
I just have to say, you brought up the IP thing, not me. This is the question. It's in my purview now. I have to say something. We've been getting beat over the head with this IP thing for a while, and like the hype was building, and everyone's all excited. I've been seeing the people that were leading the charge of that hype selling off their IP autos. So I was rightfully dubious from the beginning, and now I'm starting to see the dump phase of the IP auto. So I'm seeing it. Don't think I don't see it. Nice try. Fair?
Yeah, no, I love that the question provided the platform.
It's like earlier when you took a stray at the game.
Get the shoes, yeah.
I mean, obviously it would be cooler if it was older. It's just like in the world of 5 million factors that go to a card and its value, I would prefer the IP auto be older and from the rookie year. That'd be cool.
Yeah, it makes sense. This is the name of the game. This is the name of the game. It's trying to find the little marginal aspect of something that makes it a little bit better than the other thing. The question of significance. It's a really interesting game, and the more you think that in those terms, the more you think about it, or at least for me, the more I think about significance, the more compelling it becomes.
But you put me onto this, and it's like this customization piece that we try to take control over some of these cards as a community to like increase the value of something. And by that, it's like, okay, here's this card that was produced, and I want to make it worth more. How can I do that? I can make it worth more by grading it, getting it a PSA 10 slab. I can have someone add an auto to it after the fact and change the card, basically alter the card and double the value of it. And this is just another way to like add to that customization where it's like, well, not only did I have him autograph it, I had him autograph it in the first year release of this card, so that 10 years from now I can say that when I'm selling it. It's just like, this is why us as collectors need these barriers of licensed cards and pack pulled things like that, because otherwise we're just going to start adding custom shit to cards that have been produced.
Yeah. Yep. All right. From Prison Mike PC, rank these parallels from all the combined sports, from all the combined years.
Oh, man. Yeah.
And here is the list. I guess there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 different parallels provided.
Let me write these down.
PMGs, rubies, essential credentials, platinum medallions, and gold refractors, including gold prism.
Okay. PMG Essential Platinum Medallion.
Rubies as well.
And
From all sports, baseball, basketball, all of them, and from all years of release.
Yep. All right. You are going to be shocked by my answer, maybe. You want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
I'm going gold number 1.
Okay, I like that.
There's just too much. There's too many years. Like, it's just like gold prism, gold refractors. It's just like, it's overwhelming how much stuff that includes, you know?
Yes, I do know. I agree.
Then I'm going to go PMG, then I'm going to go rubies, then I'm going to go essentials, then I'm going to go platinum.
Yep. Makes complete sense. I would maybe switch around PMG and gold refractor is my
Yep.
1 and 2.
Yep.
And if I wanted to start like that really just kind of reflects just my own taste. I guess I don't really, I'm not really gonna marshal a bunch of arguments for it or against it. I guess PMGs, you do have the. Am I cheating if I sweep in Gem Masters under the umbrella of PMG?
I thought of that as well because it's like I was taking into account the PMG has so few years, but they have the Gem Master to really help it. So I was taking that into account.
Yeah. If this would have also included like superfractors and black prisms, those would have been my 1 and 2 in some order.
So you would have put it above all of those, all of these?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, you would.
But didn't have to do that. All right. Oh, this is funny. All right. From TJ is online.
The chat is so good.
Yeah, the chat is great.
They're really on
There's
fire.
been so much good content in the chat tonight. I don't even want to reference it because it's just too much.
And it's
Also,
like,
it tells everyone who's listening to this later, you missed out. You need to watch us live so that you can participate with the chat.
I think that's marketing, Christina. I think you just solved marketing.
There's nothing better to do on a Friday night than.
Is that all marketing is? People get. Wow.
I think so. I think you just solved it. It's so true, though. You got to freaking watch the show. Like, we can't sit here and read them for so many reasons. Right. One, we don't want to, but like, it's.
Yeah, the chat actually started off very hostile.
Good.
I know. No, that's how I like it too.
I think they're probably like a little bit of pent up, like, you fucking losers have been out for 2 weeks, and like, we're just gonna go hard tonight because we don't know if you're ever coming back.
Yeah. They got to get all their shots in now.
Yeah, man. I appreciate that. It's like the sixth man who comes off the bench and he's like, I might only shoot 5 shots tonight. I'm gonna freaking let this fly.
Nice. The chat is the 6th man of this show. We'll go with that.
Nice.
All right. From TJ is online. While I'm a firm believer in collecting what you like, whenever a question starts off with that, I got to know where it's going. All right. Can one of you explain the rationale of collecting every PSA grade 1 through 10 for a specific card? It's like the PSA grade rainbow. And it go, for example, the 1989 Upper Deck Griffey PSA 1. All right. So the lowest grade, the PSA 1, sold for $415 in January, $128 in April, and $256 in April. The last PSA 2 sold for $516 in March, and the PSA 9 averages $150.
I think I saw a meme post about this.
Okay, I thought I may have, now that you mention it, but I just figured this is not a thing that's happening.
Yeah.
But okay, so I know supply and demand are sprinkled in with the pop report. All right, so he wants, what is the rationale for paying a lot. So I had to go look at these comps to just kind of believe it. Not that I'm doubting this guy, but and I did go look, and they were accurate. Now, I was also able to find comps from 6, 7, 8 months ago that were like 70, $80 for these grades. So this might be something that's new. But I don't know. What do you, I have nothing to say. I just think this is amusing, but is it? But maybe it's that hard to like pay, like, oh, I need the PSA 2. How much do I ding the corner to send this card in for grading to ensure a 2? Like,
yeah. I kind of think of I think it's Johnny Moore, whose PSA 10 Fleer is worth a ton, because people are just trying to finish the Fleer set in PSA 10. Like, they don't actually care about Johnny Moore. They just want to like finish the set. And there's some people maybe who are like, the Griffey card is so boring and they're so easy to get. Let me try to like make a set of, but it's such a popular card, you know, it's an iconic card, that let me try to like make a set that doesn't actually interest me, but like it's fun and I'll do it. I don't know. But then I'm looking at the pop. The PSA 1 is a pop 54, and the total population is 165,000. So like it is kind of hard to get the pop card.
Yeah, I mean, I think I could deliver a 1. You know, a 1 just means you got to deteriorate the shit out of it. 1 is the lowest grade.
Yeah. Do you remember Kiki? Have you?
That's right. Yep.
He used to carry. I mean, he probably still does. He likes PSA 1, so he would buy a card and put it in his waistband of his shorts and just carry it around the show. Be like, I'm trying to. And people would be like, "What are you doing? Why are you pulling this card out of your shorts?" He's like, trying to get a PSA 1.
Using a white glove.
Yeah. The PSA 2, now that's the real kicker. Like, I can get it to a 1. Can you get it down, but not all the way?
Right. Yeah. So I can understand the PSA 2 premium.
Well, what do you think's the rarest one? This is not a trick question. It's kind of a trick question. What do you think's the lowest of PSA? What's the lowest population grade?
I don't know, the 2? How about the 2?
I didn't specify that it has to be a whole integer, did I?
No. 1.5.
It's the 2.5. It's a 4. 1.5. There's a 1.5. I honestly didn't even know that there is that. PSA 1.5 is pop 7. PSA 2.5 is pop 4.
Dude, there's no way that people are making rainbows with the half grades.
Hey man, if this is the one to do it. There's a pop for every single grade.
I just pictured in my head like a guy gets like a shitty return back from PSA, got a 1.5, and he like cracks it out, and then there's like the rainbow grade collector in the background, just like, no, don't crack out that 1.5.
Like the equivalent of cutting in half that nebula.
Yeah, exactly. Who's ever? I mean, on PSA, it does not hand out many half grades, so
I don't understand why they still have half grades, because it's such a low percentage that like, why? Like, when are they actually giving out the half grades?
Right. And then, I mean, you brought up the half grade. Is it a full rainbow without the half grades?
Like, listen to this. We're down the rabbit hole, so fuck it. The PSA 5 is a pop 5,300, right?
Okay.
And the PSA 6 is 9,880. That's a lot. Between the 5 and the 6, it's just like, there's a ton. The 5.5 is pop 45. So at what point in the 15,000 times they've graded this card are they like, you know what? This is the 46th time. It's a 5.5.
It's good. It's a good question. All right. Moving on. Next question from username 0000.
I saw this in the chat today.
Yeah, 0000. What is actually the angle of people on social media making content about buying and selling cards to make a profit? They never share if they've even made any money at all. To me, their content makes no sense. i.e., why are they doing this? And wouldn't they make more money just getting a job? If they are making money, where are the receipts? surely the losses, surely the losses / the cost of living and traveling the world to go to shows offset any gains. Is selling a $100 My Slabs / Pelican case ad really worth the trouble?
Bring back the normalization of people with 9-to-5s making regular money buying sports cards. Can we please bring that back, Chris?
Yeah, let's normalize that.
But I was, you and I have talked about this like randomly, but whenever someone tells you about like a great flip or a profit or something, and they make a story post like, "Hey, I made $1,000 about this," when they do that, they're announcing to you that they will show you when they're excited about something, right? And they've made this profit. So then when they don't do that, I'm to assume they're getting crushed on everything else. So to his point, if they're not showing receipts, or they're showing receipts on random stuff and they're not showing it on everything, it means they're probably getting clobbered.
Yep. That's a very reasonable assumption. I think the question really, or the topic really, there's multiple questions. I think the topic really speaks for itself. So I don't know. I have nothing to add. I think that's a totally fine observation.
Someone in the chat says I have a punchable face. Nice.
Stacking Jr. Stacking Jr.'s back from an Instagram hiatus to rile up. All right. Oh, it's C Keat. Okay. What's up, C Keat? All right.
He's got a kaboom as his avatar. I'm not shocked.
Yeah. Big surprise. You have a punchable avatar.
Punch these nuts.
Okay. Let's keep going here. From JC2 Collects. For NFL collectors, which is the better card? The Prism Black Finite 1/1 graded PSA 9, or the Black Shimmer 1/1 graded PSA 10? Josh, I'm sure you have a very strong opinion on this.
This is like the easiest question we've ever gotten.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I want to defer to you because this is more your lane, but even idiot me knows the answer to this one.
Yeah. The answer is the Prism Black Finite 1/1 PSA whatever.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I'm so glad you did that.
Yeah. PSA whatever.
1.5?
Well, maybe there's a premium on the 1.5.
Was it the Trevor Lawrence that got like a PSA 6?
Yes. Yes.
Just like, come on, PSA. Seriously?
That was when Kurt's Card Care started. No, I'm joking.
Oh,
All right.
it's an SEC 8 now.
Next question here from Ryan Bitter. Whenever I see a card I want, surface and sell, and then it relists immediately for a higher price. I know a few people who do this all the time. Like they'll buy something from Golden Weekly or PWCC Weekly, and then it's on eBay for 3x immediately. When I see this happen, it makes me question myself as a collector. Am I just chasing cards that are in the flipper's vortex? What does that say about my taste for cards? Do I not have a sophisticated enough taste? Or are flippers just targeting things that they think collectors will want?
Nothing earns my respect more than self-realization of, am I just buying the wrong stuff? Am I wrong? Well done.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I tend to think that it's mostly the final part, that flippers are just targeting stuff that they think has a collector base.
Yep.
The thing that I struggle with when this happens is I just think, how much extra money did I have to pay because I'm bidding against a flipper who was going to just try to sell it to me for even more later.
So in that situation, should you let him win it without your bid so that you can buy it from him just over that comp?
That's the conundrum.
That is a smart sentence.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. It's not like, do you bow out knowing you're probably going up against a flipper. Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah. Yep. I have no doubt. I think this is especially true with hyped up sets and with hyped up active players.
Yeah.
That, like, there's a decent number of dealers and flippers bidding on this stuff, especially if it's like in a place where people think that it can get more somewhere else. Like, there's a decent number of people bidding on that item against me who have no desire to own it at all, but they just think they're getting a deal on it and that they're going to be able to press me or somebody like me for more later, and I won't see the comp or whatever.
I've seen this with non-rookie football black finite
Yes.
a lot recently. Like a lot of like the flippers are going after those cards because they just know, and it's hilarious because they're probably all competing each other with on these auctions, and then trying to sell. All of them are trying to sell to like 2 or 3 people who are collecting like yourself, trying to collect all the finite McCaffreys or whatever. Like it's just, that's annoying.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
You've like dodged those bullets pretty well. Like you've gotten through the minefield.
So far.
I know.
But there's definitely stuff that I've bought that I bet if I were able to look behind the curtain and see who the second, third, and fourth highest bidders were, they were all not collectors. I'm quite sure that's happened a few times. All right. There are so many questions here.
There was like 50 comments on the post.
Yeah, there was a lot. All right. Enjoy Cards IG says, I would enjoy hearing you talk about some of your favorite hobby relationship moments. Today, I hopped into a car with a man I only know because we like similar pictures of men on cardboard.
I remember my first national feeling like that, where I hadn't really met anyone in person yet, and then all of a sudden I was just in cars with people I'd met today, and we're driving to restaurants and, trade nights and opening up boxes of cards, and it's like, how did I get here? Yesterday I'd never met any of you people, so that's funny.
Exactly. So I know what this guy's talking about because I remember hopping into a car at a McDonald's to buy a I think it was a Hot Numbers Michael Jordan insert in 2016 or 2017 from a person that I found on a Facebook Marketplace, and it just turned out that we were really close to each other, and it just reminded me of a drug deal where the dealer pulls up at the McDonald's parking lot, and then you just hop in the front seat, or sometimes they make you go in the back seat. And it is weird, and then you just think about like if an officer of the law was watching this,
I remember going to a police department to do a card deal, and we were in the parking lot, and there was one cop who kept walking by the parking lot and kept staring over at the three of us, like, what the fuck is going on in our parking lot? But never came over, surprisingly. That, I think, was the creepiest one.
Yeah, that happened. What favorite hobby relationship moments? I'm so terrible at coming up with stuff like this.
Yeah, on the spot.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't it crossover happening right now? From you guys meeting on Blowout?
Yeah.
I can't even see his face right now, so it's hard.
All right. God, these questions were fucking novellas as well.
Dude, I was expecting a bunch of NBA stuff, but people were wanting more about the hobby stuff. It's great.
Well, yeah, Mike Pinkerton had a question, or not a question, but a comment where he was just like, it's been 2 weeks. We need to talk about cards.
Yeah.
Reeves 15 PC had a quick one. He said, please discuss the Victor Wembanyama Black Shimmer being available for sale again on Card Hobby. And he sent me a screenshot of the listing on Card Hobby, and it was very amusing. Obviously, it speaks to that situation we were just talking about somebody buying the card and then relisting it for more immediately. But I seem to remember that listing after I thought about this for a while. I'm pretty sure that listing predates the PWCC auction. I think that because I remember when the auction was going on, people were talking about like it's also listed on Card Hobby. So I think there's something weird going on with that listing. I'm not sure if it actually is for sale.
That's the one that sold for like 500 grand?
Yep.
And it's sitting on Card Hobby right now for $1.4 million.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
How's that now?
I don't know. Yeah, obviously something is off here.
But I mean,
something is
like it's a picture of the card.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I know. Something's afoot.
I'll just leave this here, and you guys can make up your own mind.
All right. For mostly 90s basketball cards, can we get your review of Arena Design's new insert? So here it is.
I like it. Can I go to text? Yeah.
Christina, can you come over here and just explain this design in your like you used to do so many times?
Okay, so this is.
Oh wait, sorry. And Josh can't see my screen. Josh,
send me a Discord link or something. Someone link me.
Okay, so what we're looking at here is the new design for Metal Universe Champions 2023. And what I love about it is that Gene McLeod, once again of Arena Design, has taken cardboard and turned it techie. So what it is she has an outer sleeve with like the card is an outer sleeve. Jordan is on it. That's the one that she's displaying. It says Michael Jordan and the product on the bottom left. Michael Jordan's on the bottom right. And then there's a pull tab. And it's called gravitational pull. And you literally pull it. And due to the way that she has designed this, it looks like the text is running down the card while you pull out the inner portion of the card. Nice. And it like sounds weird until you see it, and it kind of reminds me of like the old like signs at an airport for arrivals and departures, like way back when, like I'm talking. But I love this because it's like as you see her pull it down, you see the underneath. And it doesn't even say the word, like it says it, but it's all overlaid so that you can see the word on the striped line one. I know Chris is tapping me to stop talking about it. I think this is really cool, and I love that she's bringing this like nostalgic tech back to cards finally.
Nice. All right. You can go into more detail next time if you want.
Okay. I will.
Thank you.
It's kind of like this set, isn't it?
Yeah.
Don't these pull out?
Yeah, that set has a sleeve as well.
Yeah.
Yes. Obviously a very cool looking card, very creative, which is fun and interesting. The only gripe I have is that it's like grading a comic book or a magazine or whatever. It's like if I ever choose to get this graded, the effect is going to be really hard to replicate. That's why I always like was a little bit turned off by cards that are in sleeves or cards that sort of have a piece that folds open, like the Silky Smooth inserts have or whatever. I still love those cards, but it just it prevents me from ever grading them. And I'm sure most people are like, who cares about grading? It's just an awesome looking card. I agree, but just keeping it real.
So Silky Smooth, that's the one where yes, okay, I remember that.
Where the net is overlaid.
Yeah. Some people grade it without the net, right? And some people grade it with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's graded opened. Sometimes it's graded closed.
I
always thought it looked nice as closed.
This is different than the peel stuff because now it's like an extra layer.
Yeah.
It's like makes the card very different visually.
Exactly. But yeah, arena design is extremely creative, and I would have never thought to do that. Obviously, it's a really cool idea, and it looks good too. All right. All right. From Schmo50 2.0. On the last crossover, Chris gave his All NBA teams and left off Rudy Gobert and Anthony Edwards. Has he changed his opinion on that? Yeah, Schmo, I watched 6 playoff games, and I'm going to redo my regular season awards.
But the thing about those awards is that you just like read it off a list of calculations. Like it's not like you watch the games and change your minds.
Exactly. Yeah, those were the spreadsheet awards. And the spreadsheet doesn't. The spreadsheet is uninfluenceable. The spreadsheet cannot watch playoff games and change its regular season rankings.
Hold on. Keep talking. Well, I find the best video ever for this.
All right. Yeah. So that's the deal. Is that I was just going off of regular season ranks in advanced metrics, and those haven't changed.
It's 4:30 in the morning. Do you know where your kids are? If you are Ryan's parents or Pam's parents or my parents.
Hold on, I'm gonna find it. It'll be worth it.
Doing okay? Which is awesome.
Oh, come on. Here we go.
Okay. Lame attempt at humor, swinging a miss. This is too low. Lowest in town. Why do you think Staples and Dunder Mifflin can't match your prices?
Corporate greed.
Look, our pricing triple cost price amount. They can understand. Yeah, just explain what that is. Explain what you. Business expansion. Well, the less money we'll make. Our prices, Ty. I would like you to crunch those numbers again. Just crunch them, please.
The payoff was worth it. Crunch them again, Chris.
All right, we'll do it again.
Crunch. He's like, what are we going to do? Like, press the button again?
Sorry, same result. All right. But congrats to Rudy Gobert, 4th Defensive Player of the Year. And all indications are that Edwards is going to make an All-NBA team.
Much to your chagrin.
What's that?
Much to your chagrin.
Much to the spreadsheet chagrin.
Right.
All right. Tasty Card Sandwich says, what is the better temperature-related team name? The Heat or the Suns?
Did you enjoy hearing Bill say, just like roast Tatum and how bad he is and how he hasn't gotten any better? But then he's like, I also voted for him for first team All-NBA.
He's just lost. He's just increasingly going away from any pretense of fairness, and he's just totally in his Celtics fandom right now.
Just the way he like set it up, and then he was like, also I voted for him first team.
Yeah.
So he gets worse every year. I can't stand watching him play basketball. His one-on-one game is horrible. Let's see. The Heat or the Suns? The Suns doesn't even make any sense. Like it's like multiple suns. I don't even know what it is. The Suns. What does that mean?
I'd never thought about that before, but you're right.
And I remember there's a great trivia question always. Name the NBA teams that don't end in an S. The Heat always come up in that.
Good one to file away.
Yes, the Heat. It's really tough to think of sports teams that don't end in an S.
All right. Are you saying they messed up? They should have been the Heat?
I don't know. There's the Magic, the Heat. I used to know them all, but the Suns it doesn't make any sense. Is it literally like there's two suns? We live in the solar system Andromeda or something?
Yeah, right. I can never look at team the same.
You're gonna say the Suns and just like, you know, when you say a word enough times and it just starts to sound weird.
That's happening.
Yep.
That's happening right now. All right, got to break out of that. All right, let's go to this one from Cardboard Insights. A little bit long, but it makes a good point. The sports card hobby seems to have such an interesting ownership dynamic. We own sports cards and they are completely ours, yet we also talk about them communally, as we all aspire to own cards that other people have, and to buy, sell, and trade cards very often. So there is a stewardship vibe that feels like we were all just stewards of the card for a period of time, and then we pass it on to other owners. To give some examples, we have seen cases in the past where people have cut up gold vinyls for art purposes. They've gotten rare one-of-one signed, and more recently the topic of adding substances to cards or altering them through cutting. Some of the examples may be more clear than others. Now, I realize there's a very fine line between telling people what they should and shouldn't do to their own cards and also respecting their autonomy to do as they please. But are there any first principles that we can apply to cards and how we treat them and take care of them and steward them for the common good of the hobby without undermining individual ownership rights?
That's a good one.
It's a really good one. And like, if I wanted to just like trim it down substantially, no pun intended, to like sort of the heart of it is that since somebody's probably going to sell their card after they alter it or handle it or do whatever they do to it, there should be some consideration given for the future owner. And it's a valid point.
Well, that whole paragraph was like the prologue to the book titled "Why IP Autographs Suck."
That's good.
I love a good prologue. Nice job.
Well done. Good points made there. And something worth considering for everybody is that somebody else is going to own that card after you. Somebody else is going to, in generations, are going to inhabit this planet after us. Can we go there?
Oh, it's one of my favorite topics. Wastefulness,
I know.
sustainability. Let's go.
So it's always helpful to think about that. The future users of this planet, the future owners of the card.
So the tip of the night: turn off the water between brushing your teeth. You know,
Yes.
Put the water on the toothpaste, turn it off, brush your teeth, then you can turn it on after.
Yep. Christina was yelling at me for that the other day.
Good.
I self-immolated.
What is that? What is that?
I don't know. I don't know exactly what that means.
Like you
I think I harmed myself as penance.
You like stop drinking water for a day. You're like, oh crap. You did.
I stopped plugging the toilet. I just let it pile up.
Defeat the purpose of the shitbox.
Okay, self-immolation is the act of setting oneself on fire. Okay, that's why I heard that phrase recently. All right.
Well, if you do that, then someone's gonna have to put you out with water, you dummy. You actually made it.
The wrong one. That's the wrong one. That's the exact opposite of what I should have done.
Nick's in the chat when you set yourself on fire. I just let it pile up. That's so good. Oh, that's great. I was thinking like you didn't shower for a week, so Christina hates you.
Is there something wrong with that?
I mean, that's one with nature, right? Like you're the musk scent of a man, I guess.
Exactly. I don't need to wear a cologne or a deodorant.
Ugh, just don't do laundry for a month.
All right, this is when I know that we're at the end. All right, so let's pick a title.
Yep.
And I go through the options and we'll see. All right, so first up we have We Don't Buy Cards Anymore. Then we have when the stats back it up.
So it's
pre-leaping. I'm not sure what that refers to. Pre-leaping. I like shiny. Clean end to eras. Downgrading my lifestyle. It pissed me off and pained me. Rightfully dubious. What is this?
some guy lighting himself up.
Oh yeah, that happened recently. That's why that phrase was been in my head. Pulling a card out of your shorts. And normalize 9 to 5s.
Preach.
So I don't know. We can go a couple directions here. I highlighted 4. I like we don't buy cards anymore. It pissed me off and pained me. Downgrading my lifestyle and normalize 9 to 5s. I've narrowed it down to those 4. You pick one of those 4.
I am going to eliminate the pissed off and pain me.
Okay.
And I don't care which of the other 3. I like them all.
Oh boy. All right, Christina.
What?
Pick from these 3 for the title. 1, we don't buy cards anymore. 2, downgrading my lifestyle. 3, normalize 9 to 5s.
Those are definitely the 3 best ones.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with
Oh boy, here we go.
normalize 9 to 5.
All right. Yeah. Yep. We like that. All right. Normalize 9 to 5s. We come back from a hiatus with a message for the masses.
We need to start carving out 20 minutes of every episode with tips on how to be more sustainable in your life.
Yeah. Don't self-immolate.
That's bad for the planet.
It is. It's bad for everybody. All right. That's going to do it for this week. We'll see you guys next week.
CY Card Ladder is the most respected sports card analytics app on the market. We have virtually every card in our system. If the card you are looking for ever sold on one of these platforms, you can find it using Card Ladder's sales history. Easily find recent comps and get a better estimate what your cards are worth. CY Card Ladder is the most trusted and the most reliable sports card analytics app on the market. We know what you want because Card Ladder was created by collectors for collectors. Join the innovators, not the imitators. Card Ladder, constantly innovating. Try it for free. CY Card Ladder is the industry leader in sports card data. Card Ladder. We're just getting started.